Circle Ministries. On tonight, we'll be taking up under the microscope sovereignty up under sovereignty in the U.S. government and sovereignty in a United States of America government. And when we get into those things, we'll break more things about it and understand, try to get a clear understanding of citizenship and sovereignty, something we've been talking about in the last couple of weeks here. And have a few receipts to bring or a couple of things that I'll be able to Google up and look. But most importantly, before we get into that, you know, here on this channel here, we practice and preach self-mastery. So trusting and believing that you're continuously working on your self-mastery and you're continuously to grow within yourself and you're able to evolve within yourself and you're able to allow your higher consciousness or this new level of vibration that you're on to have supreme operation in your life. This is your God-like ability to do. And so knowing that you are the only thing that can be mastered and anything outside of you is out of your control until you can learn to master inwardly. And once you learn to master yourself inwardly or to save yourself from your own lower consciousness inwardly, then are you able to be saved from that condemnation or that way of thinking. This is what we call the Christ consciousness. You're able to operate from that. Inside of that Christ consciousness, it's knowing that there is no separation between him and God or him and the Father, that they are one, and that their divinity runs deep within those two in their self, or they work conjectual with each other in that nature. So as you strive to make a better life or a better world through your life and how your decisions impact your life and those around and near you, this is how and what self-mastery is about. So we start putting things up under the microscope and examining things with a spiritual eye, seeing things with a single eye and not your plural eyes. That, you know, if you see things with a spiritual eye, then the whole body is full of light. Everything is able to be seen in a way that it's not being able to be seen with the visual eye. So you're going to take and put it up under the microscope and take that, in a sense, what they call trying the spirit by the spirit. And with that token, are you able to examine the things that you would call your truth, your perspectives, or your beliefs, and you're able to see those things in the manner for what they're in, and then you can put them to applicable use in your life. Once you see those things and you have those things, you have the understanding of those things, then can you take them, like I say, and apply them in your life. So a part of this ministry here is key cornerstone of everything that you do is your spirituality. You understanding that your God-given sovereignty is a sovereignty that was given by you from the Creator or from God, been made it in that likeness and image, or been made in that divineness to operate inside of that divine order. And so that sovereignty of yours is something that is inalienable, inalienable, meaning that no one can take it, no one can rob you of it, no one can forcefully, willfully take it from you. It's something that you're going to have to take and surrender of your own. Sort of like Jacob and Esau, in a sense. It's something that you're going to have to give up. You would have to give up your inheritance for a bowl of porridge. You would give in your or devalue your substance of life for a sustainable substance in life. So you give up your heavenly citizenship for your earthly citizenship, and you will honor, praise, give reverence to, give respect to, and to the Almighty God of the world and of governing. And up under that is called citizenship or rulership. So whenever we understand that we are ambassadors, we are God in the flesh, and we are living out throughout this world and throughout this life, then that we are actually should be representing our kingdom, our heavenly citizenship. This is a part of the kingdom and family of God that I am. So heaven is my inheritance. This is where I'm from. Jesus said, "I'm from above, not below. Ye are from below." That's why it doesn't make sense to you Give me 1 second. Okay, I'm back. And so a lot of times you won't understand if you don't understand sovereignty and where it comes from, where it's initiated from. Then how can you be a sovereign? And later on, I got some, like I said, I got some stuff I'm gonna pull up and some things I'm gonna show here. Um, and There's a little stink bug that flew in here. I'm gonna go get one of my Senate candles, my prosperity candles. Give me 1 second. I'm not good with doing the whole thing and letting it play, but give me 1 second. All right. Sorry about that. If you're coming on or you'll be on later on and notice that I stepped off. Hopefully you understand why I stepped off, but I'm back now. Once again, drinking on some of my homemade wine, muscadine wine. I'm gonna light my Senate candle here. Give me 1 second. Yeah, sorry, but I know most people might not understand what a stink bug is, but I killed one. It stinks. But anyway, understanding your sovereignty, allows you, uh, gives you a proper understanding of who and what you are and how you should operate whenever you're doing it in the world, outside of the world, not outside of the world, in the world, as well as you would do in your private. And understanding that God-given sovereignty that you have the right not to be forced to do or become a part of any other thing. You're not, and it's actually unlawful for them to make you surrender yourself or give your allegiance to something outside of what you hold spiritually. That comes with your Bill of Rights and things we talked about from the other videos. You have to go back and watch too. Um, and your constitutional protected rights, they all come through all of that with the Bill of Rights and things of that nature. So um, you have the right to stay in that, and there's benefits and privileges of that. Uh, there's scriptures in the Bible that says, "Come out from amongst them and be ye separate," says the Lord. That you should be in the world, but not of the world. So to be in the world, you remain in your God-given sovereignty. You stay in your private status and your private capacity, and you don't take on the world U.S. citizen. You can stay in the somewhat formed republic for what it was formed for, and not a democracy. And even though we hear this word democracy a lot, and politicians use it a lot, it is something that's not in our government. It's something that has been added in, and something else that put like in the mainstream and made it like a truth out of something else that they added in. The same way they do with the Bible when they had footnotes and cliff notes and everything that changes in the Bible. They have written it down as the inherent word of God when it was actually the inherent word of the auditor or the editor or the transcriber. So it's the same way too. Like if you look at a map and you'll see that the landmass, basically about all landmass touch, or they are too far away from the traveling, the way they will show you on a map. Then everything are not the original size. Land masses are separated. You might not see Alaska attached to the United States or the whole North American map or whatever. But it's something that they put out there, and once you got that, you take it, you've heard it so much, just like doctrine and dogma. They give a belief and teach a certain belief a certain way, and you take it and you believe it. A lot of times people don't question it. They take it for truth and they operate in that manner. So they will call those presumption in this movement as well. Presumptions, killing the presumptions. And the presumptions are things that they've made up and what they've came up with. And then we, a lot of times, have what's the word I'm looking for? Um, we've co-signed and we've echoed that same presumption. That's, like I say, being a citizen of the United States versus being a citizen of the United States of America and its republic form of government. And to understand this, I say we get more into here. I'm gonna bring a few things and try to do more explaining. But understanding your sovereignty helps you out, and you can understand why and what those things that you've created or that was created. So when I say you, I may not mean you and the individual, but what has been created here is what we call into a societal governmental place called the United States of America. In the U.S. and its systematic system and its governance system, you can understand how, when, and what. And you can get caught up in a bunch of sovereign citizen bullshit by not knowing some of these key principles and some of the key fundamentals and some of the basic things that you need to know, because they can make something sound real good and put statutes and codes and add words into the statutes and code, and by doing that has put their own take onto it. But when you go reading the actual statutes and code, it doesn't say that. Or you might see people putting up clips and selling and promoting themselves and telling you how you can reclaim some lands and doing all these type of other things. Or you've been a sovereign citizen and all you can have freedom over the law and how you exercise and do right. And they are when we get into it, you'll see that they are your public servants, but they're not your slaves or your indentured servants. They're not yours to treat any type of way. That we've created a systematic system to whereas we can fix it, we can reform it, we can get rid of the old and bring back the new. But the people die from the lack of knowledge. My people die or perish from the lack of knowledge. Uh, One reason why people perish from the lack of knowledge is because if you hold one thing to be true, then you can accept or bring anything else into your mindset or into your conscience to hold, to examine, to try, to see, or to put to the test. You can't try by the spirit because your spirit won't allow anything else to be brought about. So in a sense, think about this. Whenever you thinking about it on this level here, like you were hearing the Bible about God being a jealous God, and you know you're supposed to protect your eyes, heart, mind, and soul from all the BS and all of the other doctrinations and all this other stuff. Other things that solidify you and keep you in a box and keep you trapped and confined. The same way, in a sense, when you understand the etymology, not the etymology, but you understand the allegory behind eating off the tree of the knowledge of good and evil and not being able to do that, it was to keep man constrained to a certain thing because they became exactly what the serpent said they would become. They would become gods. They would become just like one of us. They would become just like one of the gods. And when that happened, you know, all of that was there to restrain and to keep you in a box and not to allow you to explore and see everything. It wasn't for your protection. It was for the benefit of that one that created it. But anyway, um, still got a little time. So whenever you come on, I want you to uh, check out the description channel too, and do understand that anything we do talk about here is for spiritual, educational, and entertainment purposes. None of this is to be construed as legal advice. If you seek legal advice, I need you to go seek a legal attorney or something like that. But we're giving out experience, information, and knowledge that you can publicly search yourself, and you being an astute student and learner of the information, see what you can find and how it can apply to your life. We also offer other things, like I said, in our descriptions channel, now this description section in our private class at the university which is our educational department in our ministry, in the Circle ministry there, where we teach civics, economics. We teach a bunch of things about how to live and survive in the society, how to take care of you and yours, and to be your own God-like uh, sovereignty, where you can take care of your own, you can protect your own, and you can provide for your own without the aid and assistance of anyone else. Whether you make alliances or agreements with others, trade, bargain, or whatever you may do to get those things accomplished, then you're able to do that freely in your pursuit for happiness. And how to do it legally and uh, correct your status and put the right status on the record and have it put out there and through various processes and correcting and killing the presumption of the citizen and correcting it. There's processes that they call like the rescission of the signature, rescission of contracts. Uh, you know, Getting rid of contracts or nulling and avoiding contracts that you made or might have made up under that same presumption, and now that you're under a different and clear understanding how to correct those things. Now, this doesn't give you no power to go out here and act a monkey or to act a fool, but you take care of things in the private with the public entities or your public servants. And whenever you're having interaction with them in the public, you have a different reaction and a different result than those that would be still up under the status or up under the presumption of citizen. But nevertheless, like I said before, thank you guys for coming out. Thank you for joining. I want you to like, subscribe, leave a one if you're new to the channel. If you're coming through and you happen to pick up and you've been drawn to the channel, put a one in the comment section. Give me a little bit of engagement. Give me a two if you're old. If there are any thoughts, concerns, or opinion about it, if you catch me live, we can do it. If not, I have to address it in the comments or maybe do a separate live about it. But yeah, talk about it. Don't be afraid of saying anything. Whatever you say here can't and won't be used against you, but it in some way, shape, or form or fashion, it is gonna help someone else. So your question, your thought, or your opinion may be someone else's question, thoughts, of opinion, and if answering that for you can answer it for someone else, then we can do that as well. Um, so let's get with the getting on. So, like I said, I think the topic for tonight is sovereignty in the United States of America, which we have a republic form of government, and that is in the Constitution when it talks about we the people to perform a perfect union, and to have a republic form of government. You'll never hear anywhere in the Constitution them talking about a democracy form of government. You're going to hear about a republic form of government. But when we get into these things, I want to show you some things that just kind of like caught my attention whenever I was searching and doing more research on it before the night class. I want you to see, or I want to try to show you some things and where you would see where the sovereign power that we've been known or talked about into this private sector or in this sector of knowledge and information here. You've always heard about where the sovereignty lies in the individual and through the state and not into the 14th Amendment federal citizen. But so this is what brought about a big flood about everyone wanting to correct their status and becoming a state citizens. Outside of a Moorish, people becoming Moorish and changing their name to Al Bays and things of that nature, or correcting their status. Some have done it through indigenous, but some of them have just tried to correct their statuses as non-citizen nationals, and that's nationals as well, which isn't a bad thing. Being a United States of American national, South Carolinian, that's what I am. Indigenous of the Cherokee, Chickawaw, of the Kiowa tribe. So, um, and not a U.S. citizen. I'm not a federally 14th Amendment citizen, but I am a citizen of the Kingdom of Heaven. But when you deal with man and deal into their society, there's either a couple of things you can do in this movement, and I may be one of the very few that would be truthful and honest with you. It's either you're going to get all the way out of the system and become a homesteader or live off the grid, um, and not have license and not have a vehicle, not be able to drive and do other things out inside of the world. You're going to have to isolate yourself to a world to which I would call that that source of freedom, in a sense, comes with a cost of living. There are certain things that we have here, like we say, there's our unalienable rights to have these things in our pursuit for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. There are certain things that we have to have: house, traveling, um, power, water, electricity, food, and a bunch of other things. You can supply those things yourself. But highways and things of that nature, someone's got to take care of the damn road. Somebody got to fix them. Somebody got to build them. Somebody got to engineer them. Either way it go, so you can do it on a state level through tariffs. Instead of taxes, you can charge for the import and export of goods come in and out, and the sales of taxes are business done inside of it. I put tariffs on the businesses that were done inside of the state, and that can be state funded, and the people can retain their money. Try not to get too far off focus, but thinking all of this is needed in the conversation. But you're either going to get out of the system or you're going to create your own piece and enter back in the system. You're going to separate yourself from the system. That's what they have also called capturing the straw man, something else that we offer and teach here too. You're going to take and lean up the straw man, and you're going to have him out of commission. You're going to create your own game piece, your own LLC or your trust, and you're going to do your commerce through that in your life and your business, or your church is what we teach through your church. You're going to do it through your God-given entity. Your church is the part of your establishment. The church is your trust when it comes to your spiritual sovereignty. When you want to walk in your true sovereignty and walk in your God-given sovereignty, you're going to walk and establish yourself as God. So when you go before the people and you go before the world, you're going to go out as an ambassador of God. So all the things will be put and done through your church. If that isn't the place or the way you want to go, all things will be done through your businesses or through your trust. But you yourself, you won't be participating. You will control everything and own nothing. And you allow those game pieces to take the hits. They will take the things that come with doing commerce inside of the United States. So whenever you're going to be dealing and doing things in the world of commerce in the United States, like I say, a lot of things people won't tell you, like I'm telling you now, about either you're going to get in, create your peace, or either you're going to fight in the courts to change and enforce your rights. You're not going to fight in the streets. You're not going to harm anyone else. You're not going to do a bunch of other ignorant things that's going to get you hauled off in the court or hauled off in the jail and get your time taken away from you and your life. But you're going to educate yourself and get the wins through common law and use the system for what it's worth. Or to separate yourself from it, create your entity, and allow the entity to do the work. Same way when they thought Trump was going to get sued because Trump Tower were getting sued. And come to find out, Trump don't own the tower. He just rent the name. And those that are renting the name are those that are responsible for anything that happened at that tower. And he was scot-free. And everybody was looking for him to go to jail. It's just lack of knowledge. So those are the things you have to do, and those are things you have to understand. So even if you get those EINs, those are still your game pieces, but that number is their number and it's used for their taxation. You can get out of the social, use your EIN, you can come up to your ITINs or your state numbers, and you can operate using those things and using those as vehicles in the world of commerce, and to travel down the highway of commercial world and to attain and build wealth and deal with those things. But do understand that this comes with it. You're not going to be able to play the game without a token. Without a token, something in there is going to be deemed as a U.S. citizen in some kind of shape, form, or fashion. Some kind of shape, form, or fashion. If you're getting an EIN, it's going to be considered some type of U.S. citizenship. Like I said before, the only other separations are Indians not taxed, churches, mosques, synagogues, and things of that nature. So those things they can come in and out and not be uh, held up under those scrutinies as that citizen. Even if you got the EIN, the thing for the bankings, They're gonna come with your E on the end of it for exempt. They come exempt. But anyway, let's get into it. We're gonna find out first a couple of things. I think I was in Chrome. I'm gonna share the screen, and I think we're gonna do it about democracy first. And what I was talking about earlier, like I said, this is just regular AI. I ain't got no chat GTP or nothing like that. That's not. I'm not using one that's not built with the algorithm and the things like you're gonna get when you go to Google. This thing is built to give you information, but it's catered around mainstream idolatry, mainstream uh, um, presumption and perspective from what they're going to put and want you to believe. The same thing they would teach you in schools and all this other stuff until you actually find out stuff. Then they want to tell you once you start to open your eyes and find out all the lies and all the things are not as true as what you were taught through school and mainstream, they're going to tell you to go get you a licensed attorney, someone who's experienced in this information. When this should have been the only damn information that should have been teach you in school. They're going to teach you social studies and civics. They should teach you legislative, executive, and all three branches of the Constitution or the government. They should teach you uh, how case law work, how to read a case law. They should let you know how the resolutions and the acts are, how the Congress come up with these resolutions and the acts. What do they mean? How to interpret them? These things should be common, but it's not. Oh, some good stuff. Okay, so in a democracy, let's say sovereignty, the supreme authority. In a democracy, sovereignty, in that dash, I'm going to say, is the supreme authority or power of a state. It is fundamentally vested in the people. This concept is known as the popular sovereignty. And so when I get into this, too, I want you to I want you to try to see what I see here. So whenever I'm reading this, this is the way that I'm seeing it and the way that I understand it. And I understand the wordplay where they're trying to give me their perspective. So with that, they got to give me a little truth, but they're going to distort it with their perspective or their presumption. In a democracy, sovereignty is the supreme authority or power vested to a state. It's given to a state. And it is fundamentally vested from the people to the state. Not vested in the people, but from the people to the state. Because this is where the state gets its sovereignty, is from the individuals who in that territory collectively a governmental politic or a norm, what you hear about in the Bible are the commandments and how to live. And you're going to do Deuteronomy and Leviticus, and you're going to get more of the laws of how to govern and act within itself. These are your governing politics. So that power comes from the individual. That sovereignty, as we read in the Declaration of Independence, it comes from the Creator to the individual, and then collectively as a we, as in and collectively as a people. It is invested to the state. State doesn't have one. State is an empty thing. Without the inhabitants, the state is nothing. You got to have the inhabitants there. So the power given to the states that's derived in what they call from a democracy, that sovereignty still comes from the people, but it's how it's handled. Okay. Source of authority: the government. Legitimacy is derived solely from the consent of the governed. So this is another wordplay of saying the same thing, that the supreme authority and the supreme power of a state is fundamentally vested to them by the people. Now, this is what uh, they got it worded, and the way they have it worded is the way they want to try to promote this presumption of called popular sovereignty, which is another thing made up in a sense, or another legal thing that they're using or trying to status that they're trying to that they've created and try to categorize something else, and to take the power away from the people, take your sovereign power away from the individual. The same way they tell you to put God in the sky and not within inside of yourself where He's already is, or it already is. Christ said it's for within you. The kingdom of heaven is within you. And the kingdom of heaven, the Bible tells you, is where the throne of God is. And if the throne of God is in here, and God rests, rule, and abide in here, make all the decisions here, and is carried out upon the earth, within the earth, as it was done in the heavens, in the thoughts, where the throne is at, then God resides where the throne is at. So there is where heaven is. It is within. So the sovereignty and the power that's invested is within the people, not popular sovereignty. Okay? But in a sense, like I said, they tell you the truth here. The government legitimacy is derived solely from the consent of the governed. Is that these people started this government. It's from their consent. So even with that, if you're going to take it and understand that whenever you do claim to be a state citizen as well, then you're going to be up under their presumption and their perspective. Here's their perspective and their presumption. In a democracy, sovereignty, the supreme authority of the power of a state, is fundamentally vested in the people. The concept is known as popular sovereignty. Core principles, source of authority. The government legitimacy is derived solely from the consent of the governed. The people, as sovereign citizens, are the ultimate masters of the state, holding the power to create, alter, or abolish their government. So this is the truth part here I'm telling you about. They'll have to put in here. But they're going to want you to hear all of this and believe that by you doing these things here, that the only way that you have any sovereign power is to do it through their processes and do it through their way of doing it. They don't want you to know that you actually have the power. Here you go. I'm sorry. I'm gonna read it out loud. The people, as sovereign citizens, are the ultimate master. So take that right there out. Take those two little periods stacked on top of each other. I forgot the actual punctuation or word for it. But take the semicolons or whatever that is out. And the people, as sovereign citizens, are the ultimate masters of the state, holding the power to create, alter, or abolish their government. Why? Because they created the government. The power came from them. It rests with them. If it was vested into them, it was vested into them through consent to form a government politics up under their best interest and their pursuit of happiness. And if they're not doing it right, then the government has the right, or the people have the right, the power to create, alter, and or abolish their government. Right? So you have to understand that this is your God-given sovereign power that you're going to have, that they don't want you to know that you have. But if you're going to claim state citizen and U.S. citizen, all this other stuff, that's where you lose it. So from my little bit of understanding, it's probably, if it does change, I will bring the information and bring it when I see more and see different. But for now, this is what I want you to understand too. So if you understand your private capacity and not being that 14th Amendment citizen, you have to really understand your power and authority and your sovereign citizen status is that the allegiance isn't what you owe to the state, but it's what the state owes to you, because it was created from you. So it owes you an allegiance. A state citizen is one who owes an allegiance to the state by their definition, but I can't owe the allegiance to the state. Is that the state owes an allegiance to me to protect me, and they built constitutionals and other things else in order to protect my God-given, unalienable rights, my sovereignty, to protect my sovereignty. It was created to do that in the world of commerce and from tyranny and from everything else. I didn't derive from the state. The state derived from me. You didn't derive from the state. The state derived from you. The body wasn't didn't create the spirit. The body was not. The spirit was not made for the body, but the body was made for the spirit. The assistance of the governing body or the sovereignty that's invested into the body is only because of the spiritual sovereignty that was given to you by the Creator. Okay? So, key components, key parts to take away is to understand that you and your sovereign power in any state, any shape, form, or fashion, to understand that these citizens are the ultimate masters of the state, holding the power to create, alter, or abolish their government. Public service. Government officials are viewed as trustees or servants of the people rather than their rulers. So when you understand this and you hear the courts and you hear people talk shit and try to say that the government and everyone that's in the government are holding a position or not, they're holding things in trust, they're holding it as trustees, that here's your evidence. They are holding things in trust. As we talked about in my book, Myth and Lies, about the straw man, about being able to go into some TDA account and draw some things out. You have to understand everything, how it's set up, and they are trustees and they are your servants. But inside of a trust, there are certain things inside that trusted indenture that governs the trust, the grantor, it governs the trustee, it governs the executor, it governs the beneficiary, it governs the whole thing. It is a whole thing in itself. And so we have to understand that they are our trustees and our servants. Not over our sovereignty, but over our physical possessions, over our persons. And you know, you have the right to be secure in your person and your effects, papers or whatever it may be. That is a constitutional protected right. That is a God-given unalienable right, and they can't do it without due process of law, or they can't have a search and seizure without going through the proper channels and getting one. They can't just come in and do those things. But they are your servants, and they're there to do a job. You just got to understand the trust indentures and understand how you can operate inside of that trust indenture. Understand the Constitution. Understand the Bills of Rights. Understand all these things, and you can understand the real law of the land, not penal code or statutes and other things that are unconstitutional, because they're not supposed to make any laws that would abridge or take away the rights of a people and charge them as if it's a privilege, driving and all these other things. But they do those things, taxations and living in your pursuit to make an earning, or if you go out here and trade your time in for a price, or you trade your labor in, there is no income, there is no profit for that. You didn't make a profit in that. Most time you only gonna see profits is in investments. If I take $100 and get in the stock market, and that $100 make $1,000, now I have made a profit. If I go to a gambling facility and I gamble $100 and make $1,000, I have now created a taxable income profit. But sweat, tear, and labor, I can do that. That's not involuntary servitude. That's not slavery. Uh, you know, so you can bargain. But anyway, that's what the right you have to do. Okay, so number two here, how sovereignty is exercised. Sovereignty is typically exercised through different democratic structures. And you know, you got a republic and you got a democracy. I mean, you got republic and you got democrat. So one of the democratic is where you're going to hear a lot about democracy, which when you understand democracy in a sense, not in the form of one dictator monarchy ruling, but when the votes is with the majority or whatever, what they talk about here about being able to get and work through votes and through the system of that way of vote. This is how you change and reform your government. This is how you can create, alter, or abolish this government on state levels. And on the state levels, then you get your right representatives. Once you've abolished and changed the way you handle things there, then it goes to the federal level. Now, how's that going to work out whenever you have the Constitution and the federal Constitution that's overseeing a big brother in your state's Constitution? You're going to have to understand constitutional laws and how to enforce and how to get these people to understand and to do these things. Same way this country was established and done, it can be done by the people, for the people. Again, you just have to know your shit. Okay, anyway. Sovereignty is typically expressed through different democratic structures. Direct democracy. Citizens directly exercise sovereign power by voting on laws and policies. Um, Representative democracy. Citizens delegate the exercise of sovereignty to elected officers who make decisions on their behalf. So this is what I'm talking about. You can stay in your God-given sovereignty and not become a state citizen, where then you're out of God's citizens, and now you do have to give an allegiance and a permanent allegiance to that state because you took on their identity, you took on their mark. So you're gonna send people there to represent you. This is what I was talking about earlier. So you get these elected people here. This is how you change. Figure out how to change what they're calling laws. Figure out how to change how when they get ready to pass these laws and do all these things, they have the 800 damn 1,000 pages in it, and in 2 weeks they get ready to make a decision. Figure out how they can get this to you well before they can make a decision. Get it set up to where as they can't move on this until it's been given to everyone in the public, and everyone in the public may have had a chance to view it, review it, and actually give their opinion and send it in to their delegated official. Give it to their elected official, give it to their trustee or their public service, and says, now this is what you go talk about. Don't bring all this other shit to the table when you go represent us or you go represent me. These are the things that matter. These are the things that you do. Make sense? All right. So, and if you're here and you're watching, see a couple likes. I have to go back and I read the comments later, but put me on one or two in the chat. Let me know if you're one, if you're new, and the two, if you've been here. If you're enjoying it, put some hearts. Give me some hearts in the comments. Give me some emojis or something. Like, share, subscribe if you're on here. If you're new, go back and watch other videos. Uh, but thank you for coming out. Thank you for joining. So, okay. So now the third part, in the second part down here, the constitutional framework, popular sovereignty. The same thing called up here, popular sovereignty. Is often enshrined in fundamental documents such as the U.S. Constitution preamble with the people. So this is where you're going to find popular sovereignty in the preamble. And with that, that is just speaking, like I say, about a certain thing. It's a part of the whole document. You have to pay attention to it. But this popular sovereignty is often enshrined in fundamental documents, and just it's been put in mainstream and taught this way for you to understand and to see it this way. These are the glasses that they want you to damn see it, and not in the individual, but as in we the people. That you as a person don't have no more right. Your rights were given up. Your sovereignty was given up in a democracy when you elected us to make the best informed decisions for you. And this is where you're going to get you trading in your private rights or your private God-given protected rights for benefits and privileges, mostly through a democracy. Um, so once you do that, you make them supreme, and they get to have the benefits of free health care for life, get paid when they get out of office. The things that they have are not the things that they're the people that are there representing. So the ambassador can't have a better benefit to the kingdom than the king does. You might be somewhat what they would call, like in the Bible, you hear about Joseph being equal to Pharaoh, or shit like that. But you're not going to be above. You're not going to have it better than that. How can you have it better than me? Well, you was created for my benefit. This is why I am the beneficiary. Anyway, so three varieties of limitation. Uh, Parliamentary sovereignty in some systems, like UK, dual division, rule of law. Yeah, we're not going to worry about that. So that's my little spiel, and like I said, we can go deeper into it another time and break down some things and show some other things. But it's in a nutshell. I want to give you a concept of where you're going to see how the democracy and the Democrats view sovereignty. That is, so when they say that no one's above the law, no one's above your servants. No, you're not above your trustees. You're not above your servants. That they have the sovereign power to make the best decisions for you, and we really don't have to like uh, deal with you and talk to you about it. We're just gonna do these things and pass these bills, and if you don't like it, you have a form of regress. But anyway, under democracy, sovereignty in a democracy, that's the way I see it and I view it in a sense. So let's see what it says in a republic. In a republic, sovereignty, the supreme authority to govern, resides in the people rather than a hereditary monarch or a single ruler. This is often termed popular sovereignty. This is another thing they're talking about popular sovereignty. So if you're going to hear this word and you're going to see it, I want you to think about it and visualize it this way. This is a population of sovereigns. This whole population or this popular sovereignty comes from the collection of each and every sovereign individual. A cluster of grapes is only a cluster of grapes because of every individual grape on that cluster. So the popular cluster of grapes or the popular sovereignty is the collectiveness that is still in the individual. Just don't you lose your identity and trying to be fucking popular. Don't become a U.S. citizen. Don't change it, correct it, get an understanding. Don't be a state citizen. Anyway, key characteristics of sovereignty in a republic include sources of authority. The people are the ultimate source of all political power. This is another thing you got to understand when people talk about it and they know their rights and they have power and they have the other things. You got to learn how to do it and how to exercise. As I said before, learn about the executive, learn about the legislative, and learn about the judicial branches. Learn how they work and how you can get in there and have to go through there in order to exemplify those powers. And I know they've got ways where they make it hard and with giving themselves plenary powers and police power, and even though all these three things should be working to check and balance each other, a lot of times they don't check and balance each other. People can't afford to check and balance because they're bringing a bunch of ideology and a bunch of other misinformation and bullshit inside of there. They're bringing that what they're going to call sovereign citizen bullshit. You bringing that into the court, trying to force it in there. And that comes from just getting little simple information like this, but you got to go do the research and do the studying yourself. Or get someone like me that can help you out and give you some pointers and tips and give you some information to help you get through these things. But rule of thumb is learn what you're getting, learn what you're donating for, learn what you're paying for, learn the information that you're getting so as you can stand righteously in it and you can understand what's going on so you can properly defend yourself, okay? Or properly protect yourself, or properly adjudicate yourself, whatever it may be. You can do it properly. The source of the authority. The people are the ultimate source of all political power. Government legitimacy is derived solely from the consent of the governed, meaning that they know that the people are sovereign. They get their sovereign power from the people in the republic, and it only comes from there. They don't get it from no other way. They understand that this is something that was given to the people by the Creator, and that this is the difference between the United States of America and its form of republic government, what tells you in the Constitution. We read about in the other videos where we the people to want a more perfect union. You do these things in order, in order so you can have um, what we have now. So um, it comes from the people, and they understand that the people have this sovereignty, and that sovereignty comes from God, and their sovereignty is declared and backed up through the Declaration of Independence, their first statement out of their mouths, their first framing work, paperwork, what I talked about earlier when I was reading about it from the democracy, the popular. Let me give me a second. The content of government. Trustees is typically directed country framework. Okay, popular service is often enshrined in fundamental documents, such as the fundamental documents are like the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the preamble to the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, all the amendments made to the Constitution. These are the fundamental documents that they're talking about. And they tell you such as the U.S. Constitution. Not just only the preamble, but also the Declaration of Independence. Okay? So, but over here in the sovereignty, they understand it and they know that power only comes from these people and they get it from the people. And if you listen to the language of some of the things that Trump talks about, even with all the other shit's going on, it's for the people, to the people. His vice president, I even put a video up with the vice president talking about in the next 10 years, this administrator let the people know that they are sovereign citizens and let them know that they are sovereign citizens, that we only get our power from y'all guys and y'all can't let us or nobody else take shit from you. You know, so to understand your proper framework and how to operate yourself in that status and understanding your God-given status is what's going to help. So this, what I'm talking about, the whole reason for the video tonight, for you to understand the difference in a sense of statuses and understanding the need or the requirement of status and what status you stand and operate up under is how you're going to get it. So without knowing your proper status, you won't know how to operate yourself in the United States of America. You won't know how to operate yourself inside of the United States as a sovereign in either or. So that's the power we've lost, and that's the thing that I'm trying to help us to understand and to see or to bring your attention to, is that you are that sovereign. Okay, so source of authority, get it from the people, exercised through representation. Unlike a direct democracy where people vote on laws themselves, in a republic, sovereignty is exercised through elected representatives. So that basically just still just, that's wordplay to me. That's still the same thing. You still got to vote these people into place. And so these elected representatives, instead of those people that are coming in your behalf, those that you're going to elect to do things, and you're going to give your sovereignty to be governed over to the state. Once you've given over that sovereign power to those elected people to act on your behalf, you're going to go to the Congress and all these other people, and they're going to be your representatives on your behalf. And these representatives are legally servants to the people who remain the superiors and sovereigns. So I want you to understand this. So when I make my clips and my video and put them up later, understand the exercising right of your sovereign power up under the United States of America and what these government officials, these servants, and these trustees are here to do while they're in their position. For you to exercise your sovereign power through representation, you do these things, and like laws themselves, in a republic, sovereignty is exercised through elected representatives. These representatives are legal servants to the people. They're still to us. They owe their allegiance to us. And so it's for us to fix whatever it is out here if there's a problem, there's the issue with it. And you can't do that if you don't operate up under your sovereign power and only operate up under their sovereign power, their plenary power, their 14th Amendment citizen, and the right to nationalize or to make the rules and the laws to govern naturalization and citizenship. For them to control the narrative and the presumption. You can live up under that narrative and that presumption, and you give up your God-given sovereign power. That's when you do relinquish yourself your God-given heavenly power and trade it in for the mark of the beast. Okay? But that's just what you're going to have it. That's what they're legal servants to the people who remain the superiors and sovereigns. That's what they remain to do. That's where they're at, and that's who they are. Okay? Now, give me one more second here. Constitutional framework. Most modern republics are constitutional republics, meaning the exercise of sovereign power is limited by a set of codified principles, a constitution that protects individuals and minority rights. Delegation of power. Citizens delegate specific portions of their sovereignty authority to various branches of government, executive, legislative, and judicial, to act on their behalf. Divided sovereignty. In federal republics like the United States, sovereignty can be shared between a central national government and of subnational states. So when you think about the national government, you're talking about state government. Subnational is the one that are like um, the ones that don't have, like, they're not incorporated. They're more like territories. There's other ones that don't have like their own like state territory. They use, like when I was up there in the mountain of that Bryson City. They don't have. They're not incorporated. They don't have their own formal like police station. They don't have the like all societal government where they have their own taxation and they do things. And they use sheriffs from the neighboring town, hospitals, and things of that nature. So those are some of the unnational states, subnational states, and then the national governments. I see them as the states. That is the natural government of the unions. Before you get into this federally, in the federal republic, this is one that they're talking about as well. So the federal republic is just the same as the U.S. When you get into the United States of America, then you get into the United States, the Corporation, the 14th Amendment, the federal government, all that stuff. It falls up under the U.S. It doesn't fall up under the United States of America. Okay? So understanding your sovereignty in those places and how some of that works on a simple basis, just like I said, some Google searches and things like that. So understand it on a simple form. Understand that you do have the sovereign and the sovereign power. Even if you delegate those other people, and what you do is about like in a sense with the power of attorney. Your power of attorney, whether it's financial or medical, or if it's a dual power attorney, they only have a right to operate when you are deemed incompetent, when you're not able to take care of your affairs. So the presumption is that they have the power, and this delegated sovereignty that you gave up negates the sovereignty that you retain, and you don't have a right. And that's the bullshit part about it. You still retain that sovereignty, and whatever was invested in them is invested in them in a fiduciary duty only. So that delegated sovereignty that they have is to work on your behalf. They need to be working on your behalf and not for the uh, corporation, and not for the United States corporation. They should be working for the individual people of America that's inside of the United States of America, the perfect union, the collection of the unions. Okay. So thank you for coming out tonight. Thank you for spending your time and energy. Hope it was informative. Like I said, leave your thoughts, comments. Go back and check some other videos. I'll be going back looking over these videos, doing some more researching and seeing how can I capitalize, how can I add to, take away, or how can I make this thing a little bit more understandable, accessible to understanding. But do understand that you are a sovereign citizen, because your sovereign citizen comes from your family bloodline and your God giving right to be here. So that sovereignty uh, is your status. You can correct your status and say we got different ways of doing it, but you can make your status and you can put yourself as God upon the earth and be a representative as the son and daughter of God, or God upon the earth. You can correct your status um, as one that's separated from that jurisdiction as well, from the jurisdiction of the United States government and its federal republic, and remaining your God-given republic, uh, republic, and bringing it back to the public. You're going to reintroduce your God-given self back to the public. And that republic form of government also is a self-governing form of government. It's something else I didn't look up. But republic form of government is a self-governing form of government. The individuals can govern themselves, and collectively, this government that we built is to protect us, not from the government, because that should not never be the issue. Our servants and our trustees should never be the enemy. It should be from any outside forces, terrorists abroad, or at home, or whatever it may be. That's what the government was, to protect our sovereign power and our identity, not to use it and turn it against us. And the only way they can do that is that you don't know that you have that God-given sovereign power. Alter, change, or eliminate But thank you for coming out. Thank you for understanding that your sovereignty rests, rule, and abides in you. And everything that you do, you are the sovereign God in your life. And if there's anything going on in your life, you have the right to fix it. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is that you work on your self mastery, go within inside of yourself, and let those things take care of themselves in a sense. Uh, go into it without a confirmation bias and see things for the truth for what they are and treat them in that nature for what they are. And you will get the results that you need out of life. But thank you. Come back out next Wednesday at 7 o'clock for our What's Up Wednesday show and see what our topics are. Hit the notification, subscribe, and like so you can keep up with it for if I do go and whenever I do add other posts or videos or upload other videos or pop up live, you'll get the notification. You can join the community. I have posts in there too. You can write, comment, share. And if you would like to open up a blog talk or podcast, and I can do some podcasts, and we can do our own podcast and get in some other things on as well, where we can get in some deeper dialogues outside of the things that may come with the regulation of going live. But thank you. I love you. You guys have a wonderful night. And until next time, peace, love, and prosperity uh, be upon you and yours. And you guys have a great, great night. So.